today. I am Liz from Omada Health. We have Taylor on the line with us also. And Taylor's going to be presenting a little bit about weight health and lasting lifestyle changes in just a few minutes. We're happy to have you with us all today to explore lifestyle changes that can help you manage your weight, prevent or better manage type 2 diabetes, and also build healthy habits for long-term success. So, whether surgery is a part of your health plan or not, we're hoping that today you're going to be able to walk away with some great practical strategies that you can integrate into your day to day to support your overall well being. And before Taylor goes into today's presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Wendy to talk a little bit about the bariatric surgery benefit.
Thanks, Liz. Taylor, you can go to the next slide. So there are certain criteria to be able to participate in the OGB bariatric surgery benefit. The first one is you have to be a state employee or a state retiree. Dependents are not eligible unless they are also a state employee. Um, you have to have a BMI of equal to or greater than 40 or equal to or greater than 35 with two comorbidities. And those would be hypertension, cardiopulmonary conditions, sleep apnea, diabetes, or severe osteoarthritis. Um, to be able to participate again, you have to be enrolled in an OGB Blue Cross plan for 1 year before you can take advantage of the benefit. That shouldn't affect a whole lot of people, but if they are a new hire just coming on and they want to take advantage of this benefit, they do have to wait until they've been on the plan for a year. And the Pelican HSA 775 plan is not eligible to participate in the bariatric benefit. There is a 4-month preoperative waiting period prior to surgery. This preoperative waiting period is when you will complete certain criteria. You can go to the next slide, Taylor. So the types of surgeries that we cover are a gastric bypass, sleeve gastrectomy, the duodenal switch, single anastomosis duodenal ostomy with sleeve, and other methods recommended by the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. I'm sorry if I butchered some of those, but medical terminology is not my strong suit. Next slide. So there are some limitations and exclusions to this benefit. There's only one procedure per member per lifetime. There is an exception for medically necessary revisions, though. If you participated in the Heads Up program that we had several years ago with Pennington Biomedical, you can participate in this benefit. Again, dependent coverage is only if the dependent is a state employee or retiree. Fat or skin removal is excluded regardless of claim of medical necessity. So you have the surgery and you have a lot of excess skin, unfortunately, that is going to come out of pocket to have that removed. We will not cover that. Prescription or supplements for weight management and nutrition, regardless of claim of medical necessity, those are not included. And again, the Pelican HSA 775 plan is excluded. Members in the Pelican HSA can switch to an eligible plan during annual enrollment in order to take advantage of the benefit. And then during the next annual enrollment, switch back to their Pelican HSA 775. You will not lose your HSA funds. You just can't continue to contribute to them until you go back to the plan. Next slide. For members who have not been approved for the bariatric surgery benefit program, benefits are excluded regardless of claim of medical necessity for services surgery, supplies, treatment, or expenses related to weight loss programs, whether for medical reasons or under medical supervision, and any bariatric surgery, whether for obesity or morbid obesity, except as required by law. Next. This form can be found on the OGB website. You will need to complete this form and then email it to ogb.bariatrics@la.gov. We will send this on to Blue Cross, and once you are approved, they will reach out and let you know. And that is the last of those slides. If anyone has any questions, let us know.
And Wendy, I will add one more point. We are limited by statute to 300 surgeries per year. So if anyone's interested in participating in the program, it'd be advised to go ahead and get their application in because we do keep a waiting list that's usually at least a year out, if not more.
Thanks, Randall. And I'll turn it over to Taylor.
All right, thank you.
Hold on, we do have a question. And the form is completed by the employee and returned to OGB, and then we send it off. So you put all the information, right, Randall?
They will complete a portion of it, but the providers needs to fill out the rest of the information. So they can fill out the piece of the portion that they're responsible for is at the top, whether it's their information, but like all the medical information, we ask that they have that filled out by the provider and then submitted to us.
Okay, your turn, Taylor.
Sounds good. Thanks for going over that, Wendy and Randall. All right, so my name is Taylor, and we're going to be talking today about healthy lifestyle habits and the small everyday choices that can support our overall wellness. So like I said, I am Taylor and I'm a health coach at Omada, and I get to provide people like you with some dedicated one-on-one health coaching to help you achieve your goals. One of my favorite parts about my job is I feel like I always get to learn just as much as from you all as you would maybe learn from me as a coach. And it creates a unique circumstance where we get to be creative together and find solutions that work for your circumstances. So a little bit more about me to get started. I'm from Western PA, with my husband, two dogs, and a cat. And the dogs are always keeping us active. They are definitely my biggest motivators to get outside and get moving. We're constantly walking, kayaking, or just with family and friends. And I've been working as a health coach or a trainer of some sort in over the last decade or more. I love watching people figure out how to fit health into their lives. That moment when we realize that we don't have to be perfect in order to make progress is huge for me, and it just keeps me coming back as a coach over and over again. So, next, I'll tell you a little bit more about the Omada program. So first is the Omada Care Team, and they are real people. Like I said, I'm one of them. We are a care team that consists of DPP certified health coaches who build rapport with member and proactively acts as their support system and accountability partners throughout the course of the program. The behavioral health specialist also works with the coach to provide integrative behavioral health support, like think mental health assessment, consultation, and navigation. Next is the mobile app where members have access to lessons. It's extremely important that our members understand and are knowledgeable about their condition, as this goes a long way towards driving clinical outcomes. To address and improve feelings of competency and self-efficacy, members receive one customized lesson each week that is easy to digest and adds quick learnings to their everyday life. The curriculum is adapted from the CDC's DPP curriculum, and this content is audited regularly as part of our DCC recognition process to make sure that it meets the latest clinical guidelines and standards of care. In the app, members also have access to other key elements, their peers. Every prevention member is placed in a small peer group with other prevention members so that they can share their progress, motivate each other, keep going and stay on track. In addition, members can participate in broader communities where they share similar topic interests. For example, a healthy meal planning community for shift workers is a very popular one that we have. And you might also find ones that are about getting creative when you have kids with meals or how to be active in different ways. And the last thing, members will receive a scale because weight loss is the primary goal in our prevention program. One key thing to note is that Omada devices are not dependent on Wi-Fi. The scale is cellularly enabled and will automatically connect to the member's Omada profile once the batteries are in. The coach will use the data to provide feedback and work with members to achieve their SMART goals within the program. And then here's a quick look of where we're headed today. As mentioned previously, we'll be exploring some of the key areas that contribute to our wellness and talk about simple, realistic habits that can make a difference in each one. When we think about improving our health, there are four key areas that have a major impact: nutrition, exercise, stress, and sleep. Each of these plays an important role in our overall health and well-being, and they often influence each other in more ways than we may realize. The good news is that supporting these areas doesn't have to mean making huge changes all at once. As we talk about each of these pillars, we'll look at some simple, realistic adjustments to help boost health. To get us started, though, I would love for you to take a moment to drop in the chat one area of your health you feel that you already do your best with. We're usually too good at seeing what we need to work on. I want to take a moment to celebrate what you're already doing well. So go ahead, please share in the chat what area of your health you already feels pretty good to you, or at least needs the least attention. I can't see the chat, so Liz, feel free to shout out a couple examples if you see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleep is a big one. Exercise, hydration, nutrition. Some folks struggle with not getting enough sleep.
Mhm.
Sleep seems to be, I'd say, a very common one.
Yeah.
Drinking water, stress.
Excellent. Thank you all for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep seems to be one where we're either like really good at it or it's one of the top things that we struggle with. And we'll get to more on that too later. So thank you all for sharing that. All right, so we're going to start off by talking about nutrition and hydration. When it comes to nutrition, balance is key. So we're going to throw another thing in the chat here. When you hear me say balanced nutrition, what comes to mind? Go ahead and throw some ideas in the chat. And Liz, feel free to share what you're seeing.
Nothing yet.
I know it's pretty broad.
Confusing meal plans, consuming enough protein, everything in moderation, meat, veggies that can fit on a plate, balance of protein, carbs, and veggies, protein, healthy eating, reasonable caloric intake with enough protein and veggies, getting enough fiber, protein and veggies. Wish buffalo wings were healthy. I wish warm chocolate chip cookies with ice cream was healthy.
Don't worry, there's still a place for those. We're
Yes,
not gonna mix anything out.
I couldn't agree more. A plate half filled with veggies and the other half divided by tiny pieces of meat and something else. There's
Excellent.
some great ideas there.
Yes, thank you. You actually all made great like points about all of these because veggies, fiber, yes, the protein, yes, those are definitely things that come to mind. And I know that it really can be confusing to figure out what needs to go on the plate for best balance. So yes, confusion is definitely part of it when you're learning. And part of balance is including those wings. And we'll get to actually that more later too, but it's all like we don't have to cut anything out, and that's the beauty of it. So combining foods that provide protein, like we said, fiber-rich carbohydrates, healthy fats can help create those meals that are both nutritious and satisfying. And balance doesn't mean every meal has to look perfect, much what like I was just saying. It's about looking for our eating habits as a whole and finding choices that support our health while still fitting in real life. Hydration is another important piece of the puzzle. Our individual needs can vary, but finding ways to drink consistently throughout the day can help support energy, digestion, and overall health. If plain water isn't your favorite, that's okay. You can experiment with adding in some fruit or herbs or for some flavor. Trying sparkling water or even having a fun cup or straw can make it a little bit more enjoyable. A simple way to add water to your day is to start your day by sipping on water. We often wake up dehydrated, so reaching for water before anything else can set the tone for the rest of your day. I always keep my water bottle within reach, and I call it my emotional support bottle. It's always right here with me. No one ever has to find me a glass whenever I go over to someone's house. It's always, I just bring my own cup. Along with thinking about how we balance our meals, we can also think about the types of foods we're choosing most often, which brings us to our next focus, which will be whole foods. Focusing on whole or minimally processed foods more often is an amazing way to support our health, improve blood pressure, and keep blood sugar in a healthy range. Food like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, and the lean proteins provide important nutrients that support our overall health. A simple way to build a balanced meal is to ask, what's my protein? What's my fruit or veggie? And what's my fiber-rich carb? Another thing to keep in mind is that it isn't about being perfect or labeling foods as good and bad. And we're meant to enjoy life, and part of that are all foods. And this is a great time to check out the 80-20 approach, where we focus on balanced, nutrition-dense choices 80% of the time, while still leaving room for the pizza, the takeout, the dessert, the wings, all those kinds of things. So healthy eating should support your life, not take the enjoyment out of it. So you may be wondering, what does a balanced nutrition dense meal actually look like? On the next slide, we'll take a look at a simple recipe to see how different foods can come together to create a satisfying meal. This is a good opportunity to get out your phone or writing utensil to snap a picture of the recipe I'll be sharing. So this is our lemon chicken asparagus recipe, and it's a good example of a balanced meal because you can use this as a formula too to create more balanced meals. You can combine 1 pound of lean protein like a chicken, salmon, shrimp with 4 to 6 cups of veggies, 2 cups of starchy veggies like a potato, corn, or black beans, and then a little bit of oil you can mix in with some seasonings, and then you can mix all that together and create something very similar to what you see on the page here as well. You can throw in all kinds of choices together. So recently for me, it has been like I've rediscovered the existence of sweet potatoes. And I love bowls because they are easy for prep in high batches so that I can have leftovers for the rest of the week. So I'll cube up some sweet potatoes with some mushrooms, peas, corn, ground turkey, season that all up with some garlic, maybe a little bang bang sauce because sauces are part of my 20% because I will not give them up. And I just kind of pay closer attention to the serving sizes now than I maybe once would have. But yeah, you can combine your nutrients in all kinds of ways, find new favorites, experiment with seasonings, go a long way. Next up, we have exercise. To prevent and manage chronic conditions like prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure, the CDC recommends getting in 150 minutes of movement per week. I know this sounds like a lot, but all movement counts. I often encourage my members to find an activity they enjoy so that movement becomes something that they actually look forward to. This can be anything like taking a 10-minute walk after a meal. You can take it with a loved one or an accountability partner. Uh, Gardening when the weather is nice, or playing a game like tag with your kids. And you can do this in as little as 7 minutes during the day. You can throw it in there, you can sprinkle it in, and do little exercise snacks. So, like I said, all it takes is 7 minutes, and you can spread this throughout your day too. Whether it's moves like jumping jacks or wall sits, crunches, or maybe it is doing a modification of a jumping jack where you just tap your toe out side to side and swing your arms with it. Doing some stretches, like swinging your arms out wide and bringing it to the middle. Anything that kind of gets you up and moving, you can do it for 30, if you have 30 seconds, feel free to do it. Uh, doesn't really matter. All those little bits of movement accumulate and come together at the end of your day. So maybe that looks like three 10-minute sessions throughout your day. And by the time you go to bed, you've completed a 30-minute workout. And then, whether this particular kind of exercise interests you or not, I do want to emphasize once more that a little bit goes a long way. We don't need a fancy gym or fancy clothes or equipment. It's really just about focusing on moving more. Some people find setting a timer to stand up and move every hour or two is helpful. Others intentionally look for the longest routes to the water fountain or the water bottle refill up station, the bathroom, or park the farthest away whenever they get to work. If you only have 30 seconds to move, you can do all kinds of things and get yourself up and going. All right, now we'll talk about stress. Stress can have a negative impact on our health. The body naturally releases more blood glucose in the bloodstream when we're stressed, and stress causes our heart rate to increase and blood vessels to constrict, leading to blood pressure spikes. Stress can often be unavoidable, so sometimes it helps to have ways to manage it instead. Managing it also doesn't have to require a lot of effort or even a lot of time. Things like taking a moment just to stretch out or pausing to really take a deep breath can have a huge impact. And then here are some examples of ways you can reduce your stress. You can spend time with others. Feeling connected to loved ones is a great stress reliever, even if it's just casual interactions with coworkers and neighbors that can also promote emotional well-being. Make time for hobbies. Research has shown that having a hobby can reduce stress and help you sleep better. Those are two-for-one deals that I love. And then get active. Getting movement can have an impact on so much more than just your physical health. Your body releases those feel-good neurotransmitters during exercise called endorphins that leave you feeling great and minimize the stress. This is another great option is to practice some deep breathing. In fact, we'll go ahead and practice this now. So I just want you to go ahead, sit comfortably in your chair or wherever you're at, and go ahead and just close your eyes. If closing your eyes doesn't feel safe, that's okay. Just simply gaze towards the end of your nose. I'll give you a second to just get comfortable. All right, now we're going to inhale slowly through your nose. Feel your breath as it flows down towards your abdomen and causes your belly to expand. At the end of your inhale, pause for a few seconds. Then go ahead, exhale fully through your mouth. Just keep your attention on your breath. If you'd like, go ahead. I'm going to give you the space to do that a couple more times. Long inhale in, a pause, and then exhale. All right. Now we'll kind of see how you're feeling now compared to when you started. Sometimes all we need during a stressful moment is just to take that break and take that deep breath to calm ourselves and feel completely resetted. Maybe not completely, but at least a little bit resetted. Those deep breaths can make a big difference, especially when we're stressed. We tend to take more shallow breaths and it doesn't reach our belly. Those small doses of movement we talked about earlier can also help with stress and mental clarity. And so that's another two for one deal right there, where it gets you moving and it improves stress. And then finally, like we were talking about at the very beginning, our fourth pillar is sleep. Low quality or not enough sleep can have an impact on hormones, stress, and weight, which all impact blood pressure and glucose. This is often a huge pain point for a lot of my members, and unfortunately, there's not a one size fits all. It often takes a little bit of experimenting and really determining what will feel best to make sure you're setting yourself up for good rest. Regardless of the season, such as newborns, menopause, caregiving, stress, new jobs, pain, or a procedure, you are navigating through your health coaches can also help you if you're in part of the Omada program. We can experiment and see what helps with getting better quality sleep. All right, we're going to return to the chat. So let's take another moment to drop some ideas in the chat. What seems to set you up for success when it comes to getting better sleep? What actions or part of your bedtime routine help you get better sleep? For some people, that might be reading or taking those deep breaths we were just doing. Maybe it's taking a warm shower. I'd love to hear or see what you said, what works for you.
Let's see what we have here. Good bath, staying off phone before bed, a warm shower, using sleep apnea machine, reading, couple of reading, hot shower and listening to white noise, clean sheets, another reading, cool setting, sleeping with a fan. Not eating after 7 and getting off screen by 9, staying off phone and putting sleep apnea machine early, relaxing music, listening to routine prayers on an app.
Fantastic. That's some great variety in those ideas too. Sounds like, again, one size doesn't fit all for this. It just comes for each of us in a very different way. Thank you, Liz. Let's see. So for me, a lot of you said reading, and then for me, I will push through and I'll keep reading that book to the very end. So I can never have a book by my bed because I'll also wake up in the middle of the night to pick it back up. So I have to listen to like a guided meditation or do the deep breathing exercises before bed. So yeah, it's interesting to see what helps our minds calm before sleep. So as you can see, there are multiple positive impacts to getting better sleep. Our hunger and fullness throughout our waking hours are influenced by the amount of quality rest we get. Similarly, our immune system and ability to fight off infection is influenced by our sleep. Mentally, it helps us in a lot of ways as well, while things like attention span, creativity, and coping with change. Any of you with children might have noticed that these areas are affected when when your kids have poor quality sleep, and adults can be equally impacted by it. I see this in my husband, and I pick on him all the time about it. I can definitely tell when he has not gotten enough sleep. Restful sleep truly starts before we even get into bed. Similar to how it's not a great idea to slam on our brakes of our car while it's operating at a high speed, we also can't expect our bodies to just shut down on cue because it's bedtime, especially after a hectic day at work or with other responsibilities. Building an effective wind down routine can be key in getting those quality sleeps. The routines never have to be elaborate or even take a lot of time, but the purpose is to help feel calm and relaxed. And it sounds like you all already have a lot of great ideas for this that you do. So we have a few examples of these wind down actions. Like you said, warm shower or bath is great. And then doing some guided meditations, imagery practice, listening to that calming music can be a great way to get your body and brain to go from go mode to rest mode. Some of my members also find that stretching and journaling can be helpful. A lot of you already mentioned about putting away your gadgets. This is a big one that we might overlook, especially because we're surrounded by them all day, from laptops to tablets and phones and TVs. They're just kind of part of our life, and we forget that we're even holding one. I always lose mine in my own pocket. The blue light from these devices can make it difficult to fall asleep and can even cause us to wake up in the middle of the night. So, powering those down an hour before bed, at least an hour before bed, can be a great start to your wind down routine, and it might surprise you by the impact that alone has. And then you can replace that with the other activities we already talked about, like reading and meditation, stretching, journaling. I have a few other members that color and things like that. All right, so now we'll kind of talk a little bit more about Omada again. We'll kind of come back full circle here. And if you are ineligible to enroll in Omada through your health benefits, you'll be connected with a coach, and I could even be your coach, so that'd be pretty cool. And think of Omada as kind of putting a health coach in your pocket and to help you meet your goals and your eating habits. You can take along with you on all kinds of adventures. We can be right there on vacation if you need some assistance with finding balance with all the meals out. We're available to support you through whatever. And then here's a little bit more about our program. Omada for Prevention is a program that makes it easier to lose weight and reduce your risk of developing diabetes. If you're eligible, you get a program valued up to $700 at no cost to you that includes a personal health coach, care plan, weekly lessons, tools for managing stress, an online peer group and communities, and plus you get to keep your smart. Get this scale and keep it. All right. So as we wrap things up, let's go ahead and come back to the chat one more time. And I would love to hear what are some of your key takeaways from what we've went over today? If you just had to pick one takeaway from what we went over in the slides, what do you feel the most ready to actually put into action and when you leave here? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. If you can't think of anything, sipping on water, just having it right by you. All right. So that is it for the presentation. We'd love to have you at Omada, and I encourage you to apply today by visiting the link here on the slide at your company's website. Before we log off, though, we want to give you all space to ask questions that you might have about Omada or the information I shared. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we can go over them.
I see one question in the chat whether or not we can show how the app works. And we unfortunately don't have demo capabilities set up for today's call. But I will say, just kind of as a quick overview, the onboarding process takes about 5 minutes. It's very quick and easy. If you go to omadahealth.com/OGB and you are clinically eligible, then you'll be able to get into the app after doing about 5 minutes of kind of onboarding questions. And then you'll be able to see many of the features that we talked about today before you even get matched with a coach, which can take a little bit of time for us to match you with a coach. But if you are eligible for the program, you can get right in and start playing around with some of the features that we covered today. So it's a very fast and easy onboarding process at omadahealth.com/OGB. And then I do see a question in the chat. Do your premiums increase if you don't lose weight? So to my knowledge, that would not be the case. Perhaps someone from the OGB team can address that. Um, but I don't believe that that would be something. Yeah. So, okay. Looks like we have two folks from the OGB team just confirmed that that is not the case. And I will also just add that we have many folks in the program where they use different features to support different elements of their health in ways that are supportive of overall health and well-being and diabetes prevention, and perhaps don't need to lose weight or are looking to maintain weight. We definitely are able to support folks where their primary goal isn't necessarily weight loss. It is a prevention and weight health program, so of course there is some focus on that, but we certainly do have folks that come in and just want support with, maintaining a healthy weight or managing pre-diabetes, for example.
Yes, I'll speak on that a little bit too. Thanks for bringing that up, Liz. Because, yeah, I definitely work with many people where we're just working to maintain right now. Maybe in the past they saw where they yo-yoed back and forth a little bit and they just want to learn how to make these nutritional choices long term for themselves and work in all different circumstances. And so they just let me know, okay, I'm going on vacation. So, okay, we figure out a vacation specific plan. I have family coming over, so we go through a plan of action to help find balance while there's extra people in the house and you might be cooking different or there might be different temptations around. So, yeah, it's really, I feel like maintenance is a whole other phase that you get to learn and we can work through together. And then it's really empowering when you can see how many different circumstances you can bring balance without feeling deprived.
And I see another request for a link to the recording when we're done. And great to hear that there's so much interest. And I think that's something Wendy mentioned she's going to work on posting to the YouTube channel, depending on the quality of the recording.
Liz, could y'all address the question about what information do you use to determine if you're eligible for Omada or not?
Yeah, so thanks for surfacing that one. I didn't see it. So, in order for someone to be eligible for the Prevention and Weight Health Program, they have to be over the age of 18. They would also have to be overweight with a BMI of greater than or equal to 25 or greater than or equal to 23 if of Asian descent, and then also have at least one qualifying factor, such as prediabetes, dyslipidemia, hypertension, tobacco use, or elevated waist circumference. And then there are some exclusions. So even if a person were to meet all of those requirements to be clinically eligible, if someone's pregnant, for example, they wouldn't be eligible for the program. And also, if you've had bariatric surgery within 6 months, you just have to wait 6 months until Omada can allow you into the prevention and weight health program. Another exclusion would be if someone's on dialysis, and if there is an eating disorder present, such as anorexia or bulimia. But otherwise, as long as someone is 18 and or over, fits the BMI requirement and has at least one qualifying factor of prediabetes, dyslipidemia, hypertension, tobacco use, or elevated waist circumference, then they would be clinically eligible for the program. Okay, and let's see. Okay, it looks like we have a couple other questions here. So, how many people are in support groups? Taylor, do you know on average, like how many people are typically in the groups?
Oh, that's about 40 people, like between 30 and 40.
Okay. And then how long does the program last? So for OGB, there is a 1 year program limit. And then if someone wants to re-enroll, so for example, if you use the program for a year or for a part of a year, and then down the road you'd like to re-engage with us and use the program again, re-enrolls are allowed 3 years from the original enrollment start date. So you can use the Omada program a number of times, but you have to wait 3 years from your original enrollment date. Great questions. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for spending a little time with us today, and for engaging so much and being so focused on your health and well-being. It was a pleasure to spend time with you all today, and we hope to see you in the Omada program if it's relevant and supportive for you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, and be on the lookout. We're going to try to do these once a quarter. So we'll have some other great topics coming up soon.
Great. Thanks, everyone.